Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video, this fun Golden Gate Bridge tutorial where we'll use perspective to help sketch our bridge and get all the proportions right and stuff. And then we'll add lots of fun details in the background with the rocks and the clouds and everything, and then some good shadows and reflections to kind of finish it off. So if you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon, so that's linked in the description below if you'd like to check that out. If you join over there, you'll get access to exclusive tutorials that I post every month and some sneak peeks of what we're doing over here on YouTube. So again, that's linked in the description below. But before we get started on today's drawing, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just download the file to your iPad and then double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. No other custom brushes or anything else to download. I also do include my bridge sketch if that's helpful to you. So if you need to import that when we get to that step, feel free to do so. So save it to your files. And then when we get to the sketching part, if you need to, you just click the gear icon, add, and then insert a file and find the file where you downloaded it to insert it there when you need to. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we'll be working with today, so let's just go ahead and get started. So we're going to do the sky and watercolors first, then we're actually going to go straight into our bridge and get that just done and out of the way, and then we can add all the other details after that. So on our layer menu, let's go ahead and just set our background color to our sky color. So click on this background color layer and select the first color on the first row of the color palette to set it to that color. Then let's go back to our layer menu. We'll be on layer 1 and we'll go ahead and make our water. So that's going to be with this 8th color on the top row, a little bit lighter than our sky color. So grab that, grab our selection tool, set it to rectangle and turn on color fill. And we are going to start on the bottom left outside of our canvas here, start drawing across until we cover this whole bottom of the screen. We want to go up maybe, I know this is a weird fraction, but maybe like 2/5 or like a little over 1/3. So like if this is like maybe halfway roughly, we want to go a little bit below that. So yeah, maybe 1/3 of the way, we'll use that, like 1/3 up and let that fill in. If you need to, you can still adjust it at this point. You can grab it with your arrow tool on freeform and drag the top button up or down to change the size of it. Okay, and now we can go ahead and start our bridge. So we need that in place because our bridge is going to kind of work off of that. So let's see, on our layer menu, let's add a new layer. We are going to sketch the bridge first, so let's go ahead and grab a good sketching color, maybe this 3rd color on the bottom row. Let's grab our 6B pencil under the sketching category. And the first thing we're going to do to get us started is turn on our drawing assist, which is going to be the perspective option. So we're going to go under our gear icon, under canvas, click to turn on our drawing guide. Click edit drawing guide and then set it to perspective. And now it says tap to create a vanishing point. We're going to tap to the left of our canvas here, right about on our horizon line where our water meets our sky. So you can drag it around after you set it, but just set it right there where that blue line horizontally hits the top of our water. And then we're just out a little teeny ways from the edge of our canvas. Nothing too crazy. Then click to turn on assisted drawing. Make sure you can see your lines pretty well, so increase this if you need to, your thickness. And then just go ahead and click done. Okay, on our new layer, it should say assisted now. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on drawing assist and we'll start sketching. Okay, and now you can see the lines on your canvas. So our bottom of our bridge is maybe going to hit like right about here, a good ways above our water. So I'm going to start maybe right about there on this line here, or somewhere around there. Even if you hit in between the lines, it'll still follow the same direction. So if you don't hit right on a line, that's okay. But again, I'm going a good little ways above my water. Nothing too crazy, not like, not anything too crazy. But if we have this top piece, I'm maybe like 1/3 of the way up at the most. Probably not even that high, maybe like a fourth of the way up. So I'm going to start right about there, draw this way towards the left side. Okay, then I'm going to go up a little bit from that line and draw left again, and it'll get skinnier as it gets closer to that left side. Okay, so that's going to be the base of our bridge. Okay, and then now we're going to make a line for our kind of big pieces at the top to connect to. So I'm going to go a little ways from the corner along the top edge and start there. So just maybe right about here and draw with our, assisted on, and it'll kind of hit that different angle. And then this is kind of where my main pieces are going to hit. So I may be like a quarter from the left side of the screen, wherever that hits on that line, and that's going to be the top of this first like front piece. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line there, maybe about like this. And then I'm going to go straight up and down to the water, into the water a little bit, like this. That's going to be my first vertical piece. Then we're going to go down our line a little ways till we're maybe like a little past halfway is all, and I'll start making another one. So horizontal there, hitting that same line. It'll be a little smaller. When we actually go to draw it, we'll just duplicate our first one so that it's easier to see, but this is going to be where that is. Okay, now let's go to our layer menu and add a new layer, and we're just going to kind of sketch out the ropes. So we're going to sketch just the front side, and then we'll end up duplicating it for the back side. So I'm just going to start and hit the left corners of each of these pieces. So starting in the top left corner of this bigger piece on the right side, I'm going to just kind of draw a rope that goes this way, hold it down until it turns perfectly straight, and I'll just have it kind of fall off the right side of the screen, right kind of where the top of the bridge is. Similar thing on this one now, start in the top left corner, draw a straight line, hold it down until it turns perfectly straight, touch the top of the bridge just a little ways away. We're not going all the way to the edge this time because this part of the bridge doesn't actually exist. It's just kind of a guideline for us, but the bridge would kind of stop right there. Okay, then we need a curved line to connect them. So from corner to corner, so top left corner to top left corner, I'm going to start there. So we're going to draw like a quick loop-de-loop. So I'm going to go from here, go down, loop back up to the other corner, hold that down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then click the edit arc button at the top. So for this arc, we want it to be, a good ways above our base for our bridge. And then we want it to be kind of like skinnier on the left side and like more elongated on the right side. So we have like a nice, just easy curve, and then it kind of curves faster towards the left side, if that makes sense. Curves a little deeper there from the angle that we're looking at it on. So that looks good. Okay, we won't sketch out the straight lines that like are the ropes. We'll do that when we get to that step. Similarly, we're not going to sketch like all the details on the vertical pieces of the bridge. We're just going to kind of leave it at this. So this is the start of our sketch. So now let's just go ahead and make the bridge while we're here. So on our layer menu, let's just snap these two layers together, our two sketch layers. Click the N on this layer and drag the opacity down a little bit to like maybe 30%. Add a layer below the sketch so that we can still see it when we're drawing. And we're going to switch to our first bridge color, the fourth one on the bottom row. We're going to switch to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. I have the opacity of the brush at 100, the size, let's just set to like 10. And then on my layer menu, let's go back there and click on this layer and turn on drawing assist so that we can use the assisted feature. So we're on our new layer, we have our red color, and let's go ahead and start on this just baseline here. Draw and kind of follow that. Sometimes it'll try to snap horizontal. Just do your best to hit the other angle, and then I'm going to draw the top one too. So follow that, and then it goes off the edge on both sides. So we'll just fill in between it. So that's our base. Let's go ahead and go to this layer on the layer menu. Click on it and turn on Alpha Lock. Grab our darker red color now, the fifth one on the bottom row, and this is just going to be a quick shadow color for the bottom side. So just like a little ways from the top here, so like maybe a third of the way down on the right side of this piece, I'm going to start and I'm going to follow that angled line, not the horizontal one, all the way to the left side. Then we just want to fill in the bottom side of this with this darker color. So I'm going to drag and drop. It's probably going to overfill, so drag and drop below it, hold it on my screen, and then drag the threshold down to the left a little bit till it just fills in that bottom area. If you need to do it multiple times, you might need to undo the fill and redo it and keep dragging to the left till you just get that bottom part filled in. That looks great though. Okay, Now let's go ahead and we can move on and make we'll just make our first big piece, vertical piece, and then we'll duplicate it for the other one. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer. So switch our color back to the fourth one on the last row. And now we're actually going to switch our drawing assist to the 2D grid. So we're going to use that for vertical and horizontal lines, even though our perspective does give us vertical and horizontal lines as well as the perspective lines. We just want to use the grid system to help us kind of space things out, especially when we get to our vertical kind of like rope lines. So we're going to go to our gear icon under canvas, click to edit the drawing guide, switch it to the 2D grid, and turn on assisted drawing. You can leave the grid size alone. Mine's set to 95 pixels, but just make sure you can see your lines pretty good and go ahead and click done. Then on our layer menu, this layer should say assisted on it now. If it doesn't, click on it and turn on drawing assist. Now, again, we're on our lighter red color, same monoline brush at 10%. And let's go ahead and follow our baselines here. So our sketch could have been a little messier, but now we want to be really precise with these so that they all meet up correctly. So just go across from that corner, go straight down till we get a little bit into our water. Then I'll just go straight down again there till we're across from the other one. Meet back up with it. Again, kind of trying to be more precise. The bottom we're going to add like a little detail to there, so that's fine. But okay, good start. Now we're just going to make the top and right and left sides a little thicker. The bottom won't get any thicker right now. So I'm just going to go in from the bottom right corner a little bit, right on that bottom line, and go straight up till we're a little ways from the corner there, across till we're a little ways from the other corner, and then straight back down to the very bottom line so that we have this space to fill in along the top and left and right side to make it a little thicker there. Okay, so now this is where our grid lines kind of come in. So now the top of my piece is like almost on a grid line. So I'm just going to use that and pretend that it's like basically on it. I'm going to go down 2 squares and make another horizontal line and then kind of thicken it up a little bit and fill it in. Okay, I'm going to go down 2 more grid lines and do the same thing. So if yours isn't on a grid line, that's okay. Just kind of, use a little bit of math or something to figure it out. So if it's like halfway between, go down to halfway between and start again, if that makes sense. So if yours is like, a third above a line, go down 2 till you're a third above the next line, and then, so that they're evenly spaced or similarly spaced. They don't have to be perfect. Mine even aren't perfect, even though I kind of followed the grid lines. They're still like this top one's a little wider, but that's okay. And we're just doing the two, so that there's enough space here below it for, the cars to drive through and stuff. And then we're also going to do 1 across the bottom. So just pick really anywhere on the bottom here to split that in half, make it a little thicker, and fill it in. Okay, and then across the very bottom here, we're going to go outside a little bit from the bottom of our shape and go all the way across, sticking out a little bit on the other side as well, till we get that little tiny like platform across the bottom. Okay, and then let's go to our layer menu, click on this layer and turn off drawing assist. And we are just going to kind of round the top corners a little bit on the inside. So right here on the inside, I'm just going to kind of round that a little bit, round the next one a little bit, round. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Doesn't have to be anything perfect. We're just kind of adding a little bit more detail to it. And then the bottom part we'll leave alone. So this will be it for our main vertical piece. Okay, now we'll go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this vertical piece, grab the bottom one, grab it with our arrow tool, set it to uniform, and we're first just going to kind of drag it down to this other side where this top left corner hits our line, kind of where we lined this other one up. Then I'm going to use my bottom right corner to just downsize it until we kind of hit that bottom line so that they are across from each other. So I have snapping turned on in the bottom left, and that kind of helps me when it snaps to that blue line there that's trying to line it up with the bottom of my other piece there. So that's kind of what we're going for. I might move it a little closer now that they're kind of made. I feel like it looks a little bit better maybe here. So I'm just going to kind of fix that, just move it over a little and resize it to match with the other one across the bottom. And then it's touching my line on the top left corner. So kind of do something like that. Okay, and then once those are both in place, let's go ahead and go to our layer menu and snap them together to be on the same layer. And then we're going to do a quick erasure of the right side of each of them, which is on the further side of the bridge. So the left side we'll see in front of our bridge, but the right side we will not. So let's see, to do that, to get rid of it exactly the way we need to, we're going to go to our layer with our base on it, click on it, and click select. Turn off color fill because it'll automatically try to fill it. So it should just be selected with diagonals all around it. Without doing anything else, we're just going to go to our layer menu and switch back to our other layer with our 2 vertical pieces on it. Grab our eraser tool, which I also have set to the monoline brush at like 50%. And I'm just going to erase everything here like so. Really good just on that right side of that one, and then really good on the right side of this one. Just going over it a bunch of times till that's all the way gone. Awesome. Then we can just click our selection tool to turn that off, and that looks great. And now we can make our ropes. So let's go to our layer menu. Let's add a layer above both of our vertical layers, and we're going to use our darker color for this. So grab the 5th color on the bottom row. We're going to keep our size at 10%, and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to start on this top left corner, just kind of right on the corner there. Draw a line kind of following my sketch here, going off the right side. Okay. I moved my other one a little bit, but I'm going to start the same thing there, top left corner, kind of follow my sketch, hold it down until it turns perfectly straight, connect it there. Okay, then I'm going to connect them together with that curved line, so kind of do that, follow that curve, hold it down. You might need to draw it a couple times to get it kind of right. Feel free to click the Edit Arc button at the top to adjust it if that's helpful. Just kind of try to meet them up on the top corners as best as you can. And if it doesn't follow your sketch perfectly, that's okay, but just something similar. Okay, so that's the start of it. Now we're going to go to our layer menu. Let's add a new layer for our vertical lines. Click on this layer and turn on Drawing Assist so that we can use the grid feature. Now, the biggest thing here is that as our pieces get kind of further away, they're going to get closer together. And as they get closer here, they're going to be a little further apart. But essentially, kind of, the idea is like from this point to the right side should be the same amount of lines as this point to the left side, but this piece is so much smaller than this piece, so like these ones will have to be squished together. We're not going to do anything too crazy, like, but I'm just saying. So, and essentially what we want to do too is line them up to meet with this darker color so that, that's where we'll stop them. But let's just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start from the very, very right side. So I might just go like, on this first line that I have and draw a vertical line from the top to the bottom. So if you end up going like over your rope at all, that's okay. We can come back through and erase it later because it's on a separate layer. So then from here, I might go like 1.5 squares to the left and draw another one. I might go another 1.5 squares and draw another one. Then I might start getting a little smaller. So then maybe I'll do like 1.25 square and draw there. I might do another like 1.25 square, so I'm halfway through this one, draw there. Then I might just start doing like 1 square, so I'm like halfway through this one, so I'll like halfway through this one and draw another one. And that might be my last one for this piece, like the diagonal here. Then I might go just kind of right past this next one and start again. So I'm right here, I'm going to go right there. I don't want to draw on this one because our rope is going to like just disappear into nowhere, we don't like that. So we have to go past the left side of each of our vertical pieces. So I'm just going to go right past it and draw another one there. Okay, so that was still like a good full square. So we'll just keep doing full squares for a minute. So I'll go maybe here. I'll do maybe like 2/3 of a square-ish. No real run, like it doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of slowly start spacing them a little bit closer together is all. Okay, so now I'm doing maybe like a half square in between each one, roughly. Okay, till we get to like here, and now I'm going to skip past my left side of the smaller one to go right next to it and draw my next line. And then here, maybe we'll do like 1/3 to 1/2 squares, something kind of smaller since we're pretty far away now. But it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Just do your best to kind of make it, you know. So then when we look at it, it should just look like it gets, they're further spaced and then they get a lot closer towards the end. That's all it really needs to be. Okay, now let's go through and on the same layer, go to our layer menu, click on it and turn off drawing assist and use our eraser to erase anything that went above our previous line, like the slanted line. So just kind of go across the top and just erase anything that might have poked out when you were doing the last step. Okay, clean that up and then we are good to go. So now we're just going to duplicate it for the other side. So I'll go to our layer menu, we'll snap these two layers together and then slide to the left and hit duplicate. Drag the newest one below all of our layers so far. And then with our arrow tool, let's drag it on over till this top right corner reaches the top right corner of our bigger one. I'm going to switch it to freeform and I'm just going to stretch it to the left until this top one hits that. Maybe stretch it further to the right if we need to too, just kind of stretching it back and forth until they meet up the way they should. So this one should meet up with that top right corner of our back piece, and then this one should meet up roughly with the top right corner of our front bigger piece. So something kind of like that. Then if you need to, I have a few pieces kind of on the bottom sticking down here, so feel free to clean those up. So it should look something like this now. Awesome, and that is our bridge. That is pretty much all of it. Let's go ahead and go to our layer menu and let's just group all these layers together. So click on one, slide right on the others, and group them together. We can go ahead and get rid of our sketch. I'm just going to turn mine off though so that I can save it for the video. If we're on our new group here, we can go ahead and move things around if we ever need to. So we can use our arrow tool on like freeform or uniform and we can kind of adjust the bridge if we see fit. But I think it looks great as is, but if you need to move it around for some reason, feel free to do so. Okay, but let's go ahead and move on. So now let's go ahead and turn off our grid. So under our gear icon, just click to turn off the drawing guide under canvas there. So we don't have to look at it anymore. So that looks nice and clean and beautiful. Okay, we are going to add our clouds below our water layer that we have. So let's add a new layer, drag it below all of the layers that we have so far. Let's go ahead and actually first do the top part of our sky. So it's going to get a little lighter at the top, and then we're going to have like a little sun peeking out as well. So on this new layer, let's grab the second color on the top row of the color palette. Grab our selection tool, set it to rectangle, and turn color fill back on. And then let's start on the top left corner and go across the top of the screen, go down into the screen, maybe like, just a smidge, maybe about like this, maybe covering like a fourth of our way from the water to the top of our screen. Let that go to fill that in. Click the selection tool to turn it off, and then click our wand icon so we can blur it. Click Gaussian blur, and we'll blur this up a good ways to like 30 to 40%, so we just get a good kind of gradient going across the top of the screen. On the same layer, we're just going to go ahead and add our sun. So it's going to start with this third color on the top row. For the brush, we are going to switch our brush to the medium brush under the airbrushing category. We're going to use this for our sun and our clouds and maybe some details in our water and stuff. So we're going to use this quite a bit today. Our opacity of the brush is at 100. Let's go ahead and set our size to like 20% to start. And I'm just going to very, very lightly across the top center, come down into the screen, working in kind of like a circular motion to get a little bit of a glow going. If you need to lower the opacity of your brush, go ahead and do so. But maybe something about like this to start. Okay, same brush, same layer. Let's just switch our color to the fourth one on the top row. And we might lower our size a little bit to like 15 or so. And then I'm just going to start on the top middle again and come down in a circular motion, smaller this time though, to get kind of like that little sun going right in the center there. Beautiful. Now we can go ahead and draw our clouds. Let's go ahead and add a new layer on our layer menu right above the one that we were just on, still underneath our water. And let's go ahead and start our clouds. So those are going to be with the next 3 colors in line, the 5th, 6th, and 7th in the top row. Let's start with our 5th one. Same medium soft brush, same opacity at 100%. Let's set our size back up to maybe 20 to start and get some good cloud shapes going. So I'm going to start maybe like, 2/3 of the way up my sky from the top of my water. So maybe right about here on the edge. I'm going to start there. I'm going to kind of work in circular motions, just kind of creating some good cloud shapes, kind of like this. I'm going to fill all the way across the bottom as well. Fill that all in. So we have some blurry edges across the top, like so, in kind of circular flowing motions. Let's go ahead and drop our brush size a little bit to maybe 10%, and we can add some more detail to them. But now this bridge is really getting in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the bridge off on our layer menu. So just uncheck the group there so we don't have to look at it anymore. Still on our cloud layer, and let's just go ahead and kind of add some smaller detail with this smaller brush. I'm just going to kind of puff out a few more little pieces with it. So something kind of like this. And now what we're going to do is on the same layer, we're just going to switch to our darkest color, the 6th one on the top row. Same soft brush, same 10% is fine. I'm going to lower the opacity of my brush to maybe 70%. And I'm going to start a little ways from the top of my shape here and just kind of start in towards the middle there and just kind of follow that same shape through, pushing pretty lightly, working in like a circular motion, something like this. Okay, go back in and you can like kind of deepen some pieces up by going over a second time, but nothing crazy. I'm going to go very, very lightly around the very edges of it to really just kind of, blend them through a little bit. So if you need to lower your opacity more, go ahead and do so. Maybe something like that. Then on our layer menu, let's add a new layer. And let's grab our base color again, the 5th one on the top row, and we'll do the same thing. I'm going to turn my opacity back up to 100, size at like 15, and we're just going to create like a second layer kind of right where this darker color is. So I'm just going to start again and just kind of add some more of this in, covering that up a little bit here and there, kind of puffing some clouds up like so. Okay, on this new layer still, we're going to go to our darker color again, 6th one on the top row, lower our opacity back to 70, lower our size back to 10, and just kind of do the same thing. So very, very lightly through the middle in kind of circular, fluffy motions, and then a little bit deeper towards the bottom is fine. Something like that. Now we're going to go through and add kind of a highlight to the tops of each layer. So let's just stay on this top layer that we're on, click on it and turn on Alpha Lock. Grab our lightest color now, the 7th one on the top row. Same brush, we're just going to up our opacity back to 100, lower our size even further to like 5%, and just kind of right on the edges here, I'm just going to kind of follow that and brighten them up. Just here and there, maybe not all the way across, and then I might even kind of go in a little bit here and there to kind of create like, that little curvy in piece to kind of create some more layers. So something kind of like this. Across the top of that cloud. Then we're going to do the same thing to our other layer. So go to that layer, the one behind it, click on it and turn on Alpha Lock, and same thing right across the tops there as well. Okay, and then that's it for my clouds. So I'm just going to go and raise them up just a little bit. So on my layer menu, I'm going to select one cloud layer, slide right on the other one, grab it with my arrow tool on freeform, and I'm just going to drag them up a little bit on my screen just to fill a little bit more of my sky. So only do that if you need to, like so. And now we can go ahead and turn our bridge back on our layer menu as well. So turn that group back on. And now we can add our rocks. So our rocks are actually going to go below our bridge, and then we're going to do some magic to get the left side looking like it's over our bridge, but like our main tall pieces here need to be above our bridge. So on our layer menu, let's just add a layer below our water again, above our clouds though. Grab our first color on the second row of the color palette. and grab our monoline brush again under the calligraphy tab. Size at 10% still is good. And we're going to go ahead and start on the left side, maybe up a little ways from our water. So maybe right about here, I'm going to start there and just kind of create some kind of bumpy little hill shapes in the back. It might dip down a little closer to horizon and then off the right side of the canvas as well. So something kind of like this. Nothing too crazy. Then I'm going to just go ahead and fill in below that. And that is our kind of rock formation in the back. So when we just kind of want this one side to just end up like underneath the right side of our bridge here. So make sure that's happening. If not, you might need to adjust your hill really quick, but it should be underneath it there. And then this is the part where it's going to cut off. So it's going to cut off some of my ropes here and just the front side of my bridge. That's totally okay. That's kind of where I want it. And then it dips below. Okay, now we're going to add some detail to it. So on our layer menu, click on this layer and turn on alpha lock again. So now we have a lighter and darker color that we're going to use to create some kind of texture on it. So let's start with our lighter color, second one on the second row. We're going to switch back to our medium brush under the airbrushing category. Opacity at 100. Leave our size pretty low at like, let's even drop it maybe to like 3%. Okay, and we're just going to kind of go in and just kind of create some cuts here. So I'm going to start on the left here and just kind of create a quick cut this way and then kind of cut it back out and kind of fill that in where like the sun would be hitting it kind of. So right next to this other bump, and then where it bumps again, I'm going to create like another little highlight on the front side of that kind of face. Another kind of cut on the front side of this face. So some stuff like this. And I turn my bridge back on. You can turn yours off if you need to, but it's gonna end up there anyway. So again, just kind of creating some good kind of cuts on the front of those pieces like that. Then we're also just gonna go through and kind of lightly add some other texture through. Nothing too crazy, just like a few just more kind of quick, like light little squiggles and lines and stuff just to kind of add a little bit more texture. Okay, then let's go in with our darker color, third one on the second row, and kind of add this in like on the opposite sides where there would be like some shadows. So like on the back sides of the cliffs or the back sides of the little hills where the sun isn't hitting. Maybe through some of these kind of like valleys here. Kind of towards the bottom of things. So kind of something like this. Also kind of just, again, going through and adding some quick texture with the other lines that we created. So something like this. Nothing too crazy, pretty simple. And now we'll add some more shadow and highlights to it. So on our layer menu, add a new layer above this one. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. And then click the N and set it to multiply. Okay, we're going to grab our next color in line, fourth one on the second row. Same brush. Let's increase our size a little bit to like maybe 10 so we can get a kind of broader, coverage here. And this is just going to be mainly like our shadow. So I'm just going to kind of focus this towards the bottom a little bit, like so, pretty lightly all the way across. Okay, layer menu, let's add another new layer above this one. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask and click the N and set it to overlay this time. Same color, same brush. Let's maybe lower our size back to like 5. And this is going to be our highlight across the top. So I'm going to kind of just focus this right on the top of on the top and kind of following some of these planes even a little bit maybe. So lower your brush more if you need to kind of hit those. And then yeah, mainly just hitting like the top little edge to create a good highlight there. Pretty much all the way across. You can skip some parts that would like mostly be in shadow, but for the most part we can hit a good chunk of it. And then again, maybe a little bit more like here and there where it dips down. Awesome. Okay, so that's it for our back hills. Okay, so now if you like the way everything's looking, we're going to go ahead and do the erasing of our bridge now. So then on our layer menu, we are now going to merge this whole group with our bridge on it. So if you need to make any other adjustments to your bridge, now's the time to do so while your layers are separated. But once that's done, we're going to click on this top group and click flatten. And now our bridge is all on one layer. So we're going to go back to our hill layer, click on it and click select. Turn off color fill because it'll probably try to fill it with whatever color you have selected. So turn that off. It should look normal again and you should see diagonal lines around it. Then back to our layer menu, back to our bridge layer, grab our eraser tool again and go ahead and just erase everything on the left side here that is being covered up by our rock. So go through really thoroughly, make sure that's all done. And then we want everything else to stay. So like this stuff's also covered by a rock that we're leaving alone. So just this little bit that was on the left side there. Click our selection tool to turn that off. And now this is what we're left with for our bridge. That looks awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and make the rest of our pieces in the foreground here. And then we'll go through and add all of our shadows and stuff. So we're getting there. This is a good amount of our picture done. So now we'll move on. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer above our bridge now. And we're going to draw some rocks on the right side. So let's go ahead and grab the first color on the last row of the color palette. Switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. And we're going to start kind of off to the right side here. I'm going to start maybe a little bit below this first main like vertical piece, maybe right about here, and in the water. And I'm going to draw a straight line to the right. Hold it down until it turns perfectly straight. Touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. Then from the front of that, we'll draw the rock. So I'm going to start right at the front and kind of draw the rock going up like this. It can cover up our back rock a little bit. That's fine. And then fill that in. Okay, layer menu, let's add another new layer. Same thing, we're just going to go down a little bit and in a little bit, so maybe right about here. Same thing, horizontal line, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, and then from this point I'm going to make another kind of wiggly line up, covering up our back rock as well, and fill that in. Touch up the little edges here if you need to. Mine got kind of messy. Okay, now we need like our sand in the front, so I am going to go ahead and go to my layer menu, add a new layer right above our bridge again, below both of our rocks. Grab the fifth color on the second row of the color palette, and same monoline brush. So I'm just going to start right kind of towards the tip of this top rock, a little bit above like the horizontal line that we drew. Start right there. I'm going to kind of surround it, kind of go here, maybe go around this one, then kind of come here and do something like this. And then, I mean, that's kind of the idea. I'm going to go a little faster now to make it smoother. So that was really bumpy, but I'm going to kind of tilt my canvas because that helps me. I'm going to undo that and I'm just going to do like the same thing, but a lot faster to get a nice smooth line. Then I'm going to connect this top one off the right of the screen so that it's off the right there and it's off the bottom here. So we have a connected shape that we can fill in. And then that is our kind of sand area. Okay, let's add one more rock layer and then we'll add details to all this. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer above all of our layers so far. The only layer I still have at the top is my sketch layer that's turned off. But let's grab our first color on the last row again. And now we're going to draw a bunch more rocks. So same monoline brush, and I'm just going to go through and kind of do some more of these kind of similar shapes, but the full rock, but a lot smaller. So like a horizontal bottom, and then we'll make the rock shape on top. So I'm going to draw a line, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, perfectly horizontal. From there, I'm just going to kind of make a quick rock shape from side to side, and then fill that in. Touch up any little gaps that there might be, and that's our rock. So I'm just going to do a bunch of those of varying kind of shapes and sizes. So some pretty small ones, some bigger ones, flatter ones, whatever. Just kind of sticking closer to the shore here, so nothing too far out. Okay, so then once we have a good variety of that, I just left a little tiny space in like the left corner here, and we're going to draw like another kind of rock piece. So same layer, I'm just going to use the same color and just kind of draw like a quick kind of mostly flat kind of wavy piece there. Fill that in, and that's going to be kind of an up close rock. So that is it for that. So now we can add the details to the rocks and the sand, then the details to the water, and then we just need our reflections. So we are moving right along. Let's go to our layer menu and let's just start with our sand and work our way up. So we have our sand layer at the bottom here. Let's click on that, turn on alpha lock, grab, let's see, our sand color was the fifth one on the second row. So we have a kind of darker, brighter one for some, movement texture. And then we have a lighter one for some more kind of rocky, pebbly pieces. So let's do our next one in line though first, sixth one on the second row. Switch back to our medium brush under the airbrushing category, opacity at 100, size at maybe 5 or so. And let's just go through and just kind of make some quick little just variation through the sand here. Nothing crazy. Okay, same layer. Let's just switch our color to the seventh one on the second row. Switch our brush back to our monoline brush. And we're going to kind of, again, make some quick pebbly pieces. So just kind of like we did before with our rocks, but I'm not even doing them that perfect. I'm just going to kind of, I'm not even holding anything down. I'm just going to kind of go through and make some quick pebbly pieces. So a lot smaller, kind of more random. But yeah, some still bigger, some still kind of horizontal on the bottom, but nothing crazy. Something like that. Okay, that's it for our sand. Let's work our way back up. So our next layer is our back bigger rock. So click on that layer and turn on alpha lock. So that's this one here. Let's grab our next two colors in line on the bottom row. So the second and third one. So our first one was our base color. Let's grab our second one on the third row to start. Switch back to our medium brush. And let's set that to let's just leave it at 5% is good. And we're again going to kind of just create some detail on it. So I'm just going to kind of, use this lighter color to kind of hit some main pieces across the front here. And then kind of again, kind of lightly throughout the rest of it. Grab our darker color now, third one on the bottom row, same thing. We're going to kind of create some like good shadows here and there. Like so. Across the bottom a little bit. Nothing too crazy, just some good kind of movement there. Okay, layer menu, next layer, click on it, turn on alpha lock, same thing for this one. So second color on the bottom row first. We'll use that to kind of highlight some pieces of it. And then grab our darker color, third one on the bottom row to add some shadow to the bottom and just kind of throughout a little bit as well. So that's it for our rocks. Let's go ahead and add a bigger highlight to them as well. So on our layer menu, go back to our bottom one, add a layer above it. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to overlay. Grab our fourth color on the second row. And we are going to go ahead and add that same brush, just add that nicely to the top, all the way along to kind of add some of this lightness to it. Same thing for our next rock, add a layer above that. Click on it, set it to a clipping mask. Click the N, set it to overlay. Same color. Same thing. Okay, so that's it for my rocks. So now that those are done, I'm actually going to just snap those together onto one layer. So my two rocks and my two highlight layers, just to save us some layers. Okay, next up is my other rock layer with all my little rocks on it. So let's click on that and turn on alpha lock. And we're going to use the same colors that we were just using. So second and third on the bottom row. So let's start with the second one. Same brush. Let's maybe lower our size a little bit to like 3 to 4% to start for these back rocks. So our lighter ones, we're just going to hit across the top. Feel free to lower your brush even more for the really little ones, to like 1 to 2% or something. Just going to hit all the tops of them. So I just kind of went through and did my smaller ones at like 1 to 2%, and now I'm at like 3% for my bigger ones. Okay, same thing with our darker color. Third one on the bottom row. Let's start with our brush pretty low for the small ones, just right across the bottom, basically with this shadow color. Then I'm going to increase my size a little bit to like 2 to 3 for my bigger ones to add again shadow color across the bottom. Like so. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on this rock down here. So we'll just grab our lighter color, second one on the bottom row, increase our brush to maybe like 4 to 5% and hit some of the high points with this lighter color. Then we'll maybe grab the darker color and add just a little bit of that in as well. Nothing too crazy, we can't see a ton of shadows on it, but just to give it some texture and stuff. Okay, layer menu, add a new layer above this layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, click the N and set it to overlay, and we're going to do the same thing we did with our other one. So fourth color on the second row, same brush, maybe lower our size to like 3%. I'm going to go across this bottom one first just to hit the high points there. And then we're going to do the same thing for all of our other rocks. So I'm at 3%, so I'm probably just going to do my big ones with this. Then I'm going to drop my size to like 1 to 2 and just maybe touch my little ones. You know, nothing too crazy. They're pretty small, so it's not like you can see a ton of detail on them, but a little bit helps. So that looks great. Now we really just need the details in the water. So let's go ahead and do that next. So on our layer menu, let's see, I guess we can snap this layer to our main rock layer with all of our little rocks on it. So that's all one layer. So we still have our sand, our two bigger rocks, and then all of our littler rocks. Okay. And then we have our water layer here, which is layer 1 on my canvas or on my layer menu. So let's just click on that and turn on alpha lock. And our water was this 8th color on the top row. So we have a darker and lighter one, and then we're going to use one of the much lighter ones as well. But let's start with our darker one, 9th one on the top row. Same medium brush. Let's set our size to like 10%. And then I'm just going to go through kind of horizontally and add some kind of like little sections of this throughout. Nothing too crazy, maybe about like this. Okay. Then we'll go through and add a little bit of lightness to it as well. So same layer, let's just switch our color to the last one on the top row. Lower our brush to maybe 5%, and we'll just kind of go through and add like a few kind of lighter sections, again, kind of horizontally, but pretty like bigger sections, nothing too specific yet. So just something kind of like this to add, maybe even break up a little bit of our darker sections a little bit with some horizontal lines. Something kind of like that. Okay, now we're going to do some specific water highlights. So we're going to switch to the 7th color on the top row. Same brush, but we're going to lower our size quite a bit to like 2 to 3%. And we are going to kind of follow the edge of our sand with this. So I'm going to go through, follow the edges of it to kind of add like a highlight there where like our water is like hitting our sand. So something like that. And then we're going to do the same thing around all of our rocks. So I might lower my size even a little bit more to like 2%, low 2%. And then around the base of each of my rocks, I'm just going to kind of add this around it. So you might even need to lower your brush even more for your smaller rocks. So I'm going to focus on my bigger ones right now. Just work side to side around them. Okay, then I will lower my size even further to like 1 to 2% to hit my smaller rocks. Okay, and then now we're going to make even more water lines through the water. But we're going to actually turn on our 2D grid now. So our 2D grid is still technically on, even though our guide isn't on. So if we just go to our layer menu and click on this layer and turn on drawing assist, we will see our 2D grid is still active. So we are just going to use our same brush, same color, maybe increase our size to like 2%, still really small. And we're just going to go through and create some more quick lines with this lighter color horizontally, like so. So adjust your size if you need to, but just kind of something like this. Here and there, mainly in like the open water here, but a little bit around the rocks too, but nothing too crazy because the water wouldn't be quite acting the same there. So just kind of something like this. I'm going pretty light sometimes, and then, thicker in other areas. So something like that. Okay, now we need some shadows. So let's do our first shadow off of these rocks in our front here. So on our layer menu, let's add a layer above our sand layer. We're not sending it to a clipping mask or anything. We're just going to leave it there. Click the N on this layer though and set it to multiply. Grab our last color on the second row. It is the 8th one in line. And grab our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Okay, starting at the tip of this rock, I'm just going to kind of make a quick pretend like shadow layer. We're not like duplicating it and flipping it. We'll do that for our other pieces, but for here, it's just like this is going to cast a shadow. And then same thing here, this will kind of cast a shadow. And then I'm going to connect it across the right side here so I can fill these pieces in. So that's all on one layer, so make sure it's all connected there and then fill that in also. So those are our shadows from our rocks. If some of yours went across the water, that's fine too. Okay, on this same layer, we're going to create shadows for our other rocks. So same thing, I'm just going to kind of start and kind of create a quick shadow and then across the base and fill it in. So across each one of these, just have a little shadow coming off. Like so. So the smaller ones are easier, the bigger ones are a little harder, but again, it just has to kind of look somewhat like the shape of it. It doesn't have to be a perfect like reflection of it. But yeah, we couldn't like duplicate it and flip it because none of them would have matched up. But this is a good way to get them done too. Okay. Awesome. And if you had any that kind of like overlapped with your other shadows here for some reason, that's fine. They're all the same color. So you just, you won't see two shadows. That's okay. So if like one of your rocks ended up in the shadows of one of these hills, that is totally fine. Okay, so that's it for those shadows. Now we need a shadow for our back mountain range and our bridge. So we're going to do this kind of at the same time. So on our layer menu, let's make a duplicate of our hill layer. So slide to left and hit duplicate. Drag one of them above our water layer here. Okay, then make a duplicate of our bridge layer. Slide to the left and hit duplicate. Select the bottom one. And we're going to merge it with the layer below it, which is our hill layer. So that's all on one layer. Click on it and make sure alpha lock's turned on. We have our 8th color on the second row selected. Back to our layer menu with this layer set to alpha lock. Click on it and click fill layer. Okay, we're right above our water layer, so let's click on this layer and set it to a clipping mask so it clips to our water layer. Click the N on it and drag it up to multiply. And now we can select it with our arrow tool. Click flip vertical. And then we are just going to first kind of drag it down. Don't ever let it like unselect itself. So just with snapping turn on in the bottom left here, I'm going to drag it down on my yellow lines until we just get a good amount of it kind of sticking up here. Maybe a good like kind of opposite. So however much of our hill is showing like right here, I'm just kind of matching that till they're about the same. Then I'm going to have my selection set to freeform and I'm going to drag this bottom button up here. So that's why we didn't want it to shut off because it would clip off the top of our shape here. So I want to drag it down a little bit. And then maybe drag our top button down a little bit too so that everything kind of lines up here. So, so we shouldn't have a big gap like where our pieces come together so that everything kind of looks like it's about to meet up there. So we just want a good little shorter shadow here, like so. So just set as you need to until we get a good shadow showing there on the bottom, like so. And it's just like a reflection in our water, so that's why it's like not above our sand or anything, because it's just reflecting in the water, but it's just a nice muted reflection, nothing too crazy. So once that's done, that is it for our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you like the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.